It's done. It's happening. We're live. So, hi everybody. Welcome back to the Black Carnivore live stream. It is good to see you all tonight, and I'm excited that we are going to get to talk about the 5 best strategies for carnivore. How to build a carnivore lifestyle that is really successful and will help you to achieve all of your health goals. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. 5 best strategies for living a carnivore lifestyle, for implementing a carnivore lifestyle, and let's go. So, Arian, how are you doing this week?
I'm pretty good. Um, there's something interesting I want to say. Oh, so I didn't do chuck chunks, but I did do like just slices of chuck, like maybe about an inch thick, fried on both sides. Um, just because I had a chuck roast and I did not feel like waiting to slow cook the entire thing, and I really didn't want that texture
Mm-hmm.
of roast meat that's been like slow cooked is good, but I've been wanting more like steak feeling type stuff. And it actually is pretty good. You just can't overcook it, and there's going to be some parts that are tough, and either you dig through those or you just get rid of them.
So, wait, you sliced it into thin sliced pieces and then you fried it on both sides?
Yep.
Huh. Yeah, I can see how that would. You got to be really careful. It could go great or it could go really bad.
Right. And since I'm fine eating rare meat, like I was okay. I didn't have to cook it for very long. But yeah, if I was trying to
Mm-hmm.
get that well done, it would probably be really tough.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was talking to another woman this week who said, yeah, she said, I thought you were crazy when you talked about your chuck chunks, but I finally tried it. And she was like, it's amazing. You just have to make sure that you cut the pieces into small enough pieces, and then it's not tough and it's fine. And it's like, yeah.
Right. Yeah, because applying too much heat to a chuck roast is going to get the entire thing tough. But yeah, so you cut those really small pieces, and it's probably if I wanted to, if I wanted to make the effort, I could cut it into smaller slices, and it would be more tender because it would be less time heated up before it's seared. But yeah, those really small pieces are gonna sear real quick on all sides, and then you can take them out. You're not cooking them for very long at all.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do like chewing more, so I don't mind, a tough juicy piece, but dry and tough is not good. I don't like that.
Mm,
Yeah.
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 Yep. So
So
how about you? How have you been?
I I've been good, pretty good. Well, let me do my little spiel here. So, the next 21-day carnivore challenge is starting on Monday, April 4th. So, I encourage all of you to hurry up and sign up and make sure that you're in because it is going to be really good. And this time I'm doing it a little bit differently. So, the first week is going to be a prep week. So, you have that first week to get yourself together, get the groceries, get your meal prepped and all that kind of stuff. And then starting on the 11th, we'll start the actual 21-day challenge. So if you do get your act together early, you've got 4 weeks in the challenge instead of 3, so you can make even more progress. So make sure you sign up if you haven't done so already, and I look forward to seeing you in the challenge. So that's kind of what I've been doing this week, and yeah, it's been pretty good.
Nice. Okay.
Mhm.
So a 3/4 week challenge.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I'm preparing for it and making sure that people are, have access to it and are aware of it. So yeah, that's what's been going on. And then I also, well, I'm doing another program, which is a 16-week long program. And it is really more to help you build a carnivore lifestyle and help you get a little bit more accountability and support. I mean, I have to say, like, you and I, we finally gotten it together, and it's kind of seamless, and it doesn't really require a lot of work. But there's a lot of people who are at that beginning of the journey who are really struggling, And, they may be doing it and seeing the success, so knowing that it works, and they do the 3 weeks, and then they, in week 4, have all the things that they were missing, and they keep eating them, and then a few weeks later find that they're back at square one.
Mm,
So, there are people who are really struggling that way, or who just can't quite, string more than a few days together. And so, I really wanted to do this to help people kind of really get, a good, strong chunk of time under their belt, and also have an opportunity to kind of practice all the hard stuff at once. So, like this challenge, or this program, basically, I take all the hard things that, usually knock us off our game, and like each week we cover it, and you have homework assignment, you have an opportunity to practice doing that thing, and getting better at it, and so by the end of that period, you'll have practiced all the things that come up over the course of a year, whether it's a birthday, vacation,
mm,
doing meal prep, negotiating with family, or people in the household around food, negotiating with family, and other people are trying to undermine what you're doing. I mean, all of those things. So, so I'm hoping to kind of provide the support that a person needs to actually get to this point where they're like just solidly comfortable.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the places where people trip up. Carnivore is a lot easier. I think we talked about this. When you're by yourself, you don't have to depend on other people, and you're at home, um, and you have money. That helps too.
Yeah. Money helps with everything though.
Right.
I know they say money doesn't bring you happiness, but like money solves like 99% of most people's problems.
Right.
And if it doesn't, you can throw more money at it and you probably will solve that problem. So,
Hmm. Like we haven't had it come up lately, at least not that I remember. But there are plenty of times where people ask, like, "All right, so like, how do I do carnivore for cheap? Like,
yeah.
not just kind of cheap, cheap."
Yeah. And to that, I'm like starting to tell people, I mean, because one, meat prices are rising, so definitely things are changing and things are not cheap the way they once were. But also, you also have to remember all of the cost of the other things that you were not, considering. So the cost of medications not taken, the cost of clothing that you've had to like, let out or buy larger size clothing because you were gaining weight. What about the jobs that you didn't get? Because I mean, the reality is people do judge us by our appearance, and there are opportunities that end up getting closed to us because maybe we don't feel as confident in our bodies when we go to these things, or other people judge us. So there's a cost to not getting to your goal.
Yeah, yeah. There is certainly a cost to just not being as healthy, and um, it's real. Especially, yeah, that job stuff I hadn't thought about, but that makes sense. And also your performance at your current job, your ability to get promoted, like those are real things that may or may not be um, factoring in for you specifically. Your medicine budget is a huge deal. All the money that you spent on food other than meat that now you don't have to spend on, or you're spending
Al-
way less on.
Alcohol.
Yeah, alcohol, the vegetables going bad that never end up eaten in the first place. You're not buying those. Yeah,
Hmm.
there are a lot of things.
Yeah. I mean, and as far as job performance, like once I started fully awakening and having like energy and everything, I look back and it was like, yikes, I was definitely like just at work, but not there. So is that time theft? I don't know, but like, if you're not able to give your full attention, or just give your best, that means that you're not gonna you're not going to progress and get the promotions that you might want or deserve.
Yeah, it's definitely improved my focus, and that has been a huge deal.
Do you think your superiors have noticed, or I mean, not that about the food, but noticed a difference in your performance?
Um, Not on my job, no. Our Sad to say, our bar is already pretty low, so
It's a
it was really
government job.
easy.
What?
Right, like so it was easy to be better than the bar. It was easy to look excellent when like the expectation is so low. Um, I definitely know. I'm sure my boss has noticed like my general attitude has been
Hmm.
much more positive.
Hmm.
Um, like there's more days you talk to me and you ask me how I am, and I'm gonna say I'm great, as opposed to just I'm doing okay, I'm pretty good. But so I'm sure that that has translated and been noticed.
Hmm.
I don't know if my actual job performance has been noticed though, because I was already kind of high achieving at this job before.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, so I don't know. So anyway, I mean, for those of you watching, like those are some things to think about in terms of, when you're deciding how to do carnivore cheap. You got to really think about that, because there can be some significant costs to not getting in control of your health, and then like you said, like the medicine stuff, like you can come off of medicines pretty quickly. I mean, within weeks. So you might find, within 1 month, your medicine budget is, halved or brought down to zero even. So,
Hmm.
so there's some real benefits. And so I don't know. I mean, I certainly push for keeping, my costs low, but um you don't have to go rock bottom before you starting to get some benefits.
Yeah, yeah, and the benefits come quick.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, I'm not sure what Johnny G means. I think he's being sarcastic about
You turned up.
your superiors. But Steve, thank you so much for the super chat. I really
Oh,
appreciate that. Yeah. You guys, it is your support that is able to make this channel possible, make me be able to provide all of this content, and I really love to do it. I get to talk to a lot of you now that I do various kinds of one-on-one calls with folks in the challenge, and so I've gotten to speak to a lot of you, and I really appreciate how many of you have come to learn about eating this way from friends, and just really appreciate the platform that's available here. I think there's not a lot of places, well, there's no other place for black carnivores, but there's not a lot of places I think that have such a warm and welcoming and supportive environment. Because I really, we've talked about this before, Arian. There are other communities that are like, no, that's not carnivore, get out. And
right.
yeah, and I really didn't want to do that. So so we've worked really hard to have a really awesome community, and I love that you all are we're trying to help me and support me in continuing to do it. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, and thank you, Steve. Um, Thank you, LaShawn. That is really nice. And Steve says, as mentioned in previous discussions, you can buy a lot of ribeyes after ending $200 a month in medical bills. Yes,
Yep.
absolutely. Yeah. Oh, and Tracy loved the interview with Steve Francois. So, did you have a chance to watch that one, or the previous one?
The
The
last
previous one was
one,
Danny. Hmm.
I don't remember names. The last one I watched was a guy talking about sugar addiction. Um, he was saying that his mom, well, not sugar addiction, food addiction. His mom was addicted to food, and he grew up addicted, like eating all the fruit snacks and then hiding the box or something.
Oh, right. Um, I know.
With
I remember that sentence. But
um,
wasn't that
and
David Wolf?
I don't
Okay.
remember the name at all.
Yeah.
He now runs a food addiction group or multiple
Yeah,
groups.
that's David. That's David.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we've had some good interviews and there's more coming. So hang tight for those. I got a little bit behind in my editing, so I had a little hiatus there, but now I'm caught up and looking forward to putting out these videos. And I've been also doing these little short ones, and those I think have been pretty interesting. I wanted to share with you all, like, in terms of what is inspiring, I kind of think that, I mean, it's inspiring to see people all the way at the end of the journey, but if you're just getting started, it can be really helpful to see somebody at the beginning of the journey, who's like 1, 2, 3 months in and seeing a lot of success. And so I wanted to talk to people who were, so I've been talking to women who are at the beginnings of their journey and talking about the things that they have seen. And so those are the short videos that I have released recently. So,
Yeah, the woman with high blood pressure. I just looked through the list.
hmm
That was the actual last one I watched.
hmm
Was the woman who brought her blood pressure down. It was a couple weeks, wasn't it?
well, in the course of the challenge, she brought it down. So I don't think she was checking all the way through, but yeah, yeah, by the end of the challenge, her blood pressure was normal, and she had been the previous year trying a million different things, all to do all things that the doctor suggested, including drinking celery juice, and her blood pressure was higher at the end of the year.
That part was actually interesting because before I
hmm
found carnivore, I was drinking celery juice to try to improve my digestion. And you talked about like how much work that is, and I thought, yeah, it was a ton of work. Like I would buy two whole stalks of celery every time I went to the grocery store, and I would
Oh
use
God.
just about a whole stalk to make however much juice. And I didn't have a juicer, so I
Oh,
was
what? Oh my God. How are you making juice?
um
That must have been
what did I
so
do?
much work.
It was more work than a juicer, but the juicer had cleanup, and I had
Mm.
juicers make a lot of cleanup. I think I was, yeah, it had to be going into the NutriBullet, so it was being pulverized completely, and then I pour that into. I had a bag for making um like almond milk,
hmm
so it's a pretty tight bag and like tightly woven. So I pour everything in there, and the scent, the sediments, all the solid stuff would stay in the bag. Everything else is coming out. I've got like a bowl or something below that to collect everything. I'm squeezing all the juice out. Then I've got this juice. It actually didn't taste terrible to me. Um, my girl at the time did not like the smell of it though. Like after I drank it, I'd have celery breath, and she was not happy about it.
I've read that there's another place where you might have celery breath. So,
I I don't know if I had celery
there's
farts.
something unique about, no, that's not where I meant. There's something unique about celery that in your other fluids it collects and it is detectable.
I, if that happened, I wasn't notified.
You were not notified.
No. So
Anyway, so
uh,
but
yeah.
it's interesting because if somebody told you they didn't like your breath, I would imagine, like, it's, celery has a pretty distinctive, I don't
Mhm.
know, aroma. So I just
Yeah,
find that interesting. Yeah.
I'd have to drink
So,
that well before she came over.
wow. So that is a lot of work and definitely not something I would want to focus on doing. But how exciting to know that you can, just simply um, cut out the carbs and boom, your blood pressure will come down quite quickly, quite
Yeah,
nicely. Mhm.
yeah, it's awesome that that worked for her so well. Because yeah, the
Yeah.
celery juice for me was it was kind of working, or at least I don't know. I couldn't really tell. I still ended up having to go carnivore. So actually, yeah, I'm not gonna say it worked.
Well, what were you trying to do with it specifically?
It's supposed to be high in potassium, which would be one of the minerals that you might need that might a deficiency in it might be causing digestive problems.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
so you can't target one thing, especially like it's not like I actually knew that I was deficient in celery. It's the same old like home remedy type stuff where we say, oh yeah, eat an onion if you're
Right.
having this issue. It's like, well, what am I eating the onion for? Have we actually determined that I'm deficient in something that the onion is going to resolve? No, we've done none of that.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
just this is a healthy plant. Eat this.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, well, that's that's interesting and wild. And it's and I've gotten a lot of comments actually the last day or so on Steve's video because I guess because I called it from vegan to carnivore, so
Mm,
people are jumping in, but yeah, I've gotten like comments from people like, meat causes IGF-1 factor increase and you should make sure you take don't eat meat and make sure you take this other thing. And it's like, "Oh my God, like taking, if I have to take something, then it's not good enough."
right.
And if I have to isolate the juice of celery and have that daily, like, then there's something wrong, something very, very wrong.
Right. Like it's not we used to be able as humans, we used to be able to just eat food. We didn't have to think, we didn't have to um, do all this work. So yeah, the further you get away from natural eating, I just know like it's more and more wrong. And yeah, if I have to take something like you said, like isolating the juice of a celery plant, why? Or especially when
Mhm.
you're down to like a specific chemical or hormone or something.
Mhm. Yeah.
No, it's not the way. I don't believe that's the way, and it's going to be very hard for anyone to convince me that it is. I'm just now
Mhm.
coming around on electrolytes, and even then, I still find that if I just focus on salt, everything else stays in place. And
Mhm.
salt is a natural thing that we just eat.
Mhm.
And we've been eating that way for eons.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, let's get back to what are the five strategies for success in the carnivore diet. So, first
Mm.
off, I said meal prep and yeah, meal prep. So, are you still doing meal prep? Like, how do you handle that for yourself?
It's since I'm cooking from home, I pretty much don't have to plan ahead besides just having something thawed. So
That's a
my meal
little,
prep.
I mean, that's meal prep.
Yeah, so I definitely do that. Like as I'm getting down to the bottom of one thing, I know I have to take something else out. And depending on how big that thing is, it's either going to thaw on the counter or it's going to thaw in the fridge so that it can be ready for the next day so that when I need to cook, I can cook it. That's my meal prep is thinking about what I'm going to eat in the next 24 hours and making sure that that thing is available to me. And as long as I do that, I'm good all the time.
And are you? I mean, like that thing that you cook, is it 1 day's worth of food, 2 days worth of food? Like what is it?
Oh, lately it's been either one day or sometimes, like if we're talking steaks, like one meal's worth of food.
Hmm.
Like I'll have a pack of steaks, and if it's just about always a family pack. So if I take out like three of those or one of those, it's gonna have somewhere from 3 to 4 steaks in it. I let those thaw, and then now I
Mm.
know I'm good for the next 3 meals probably, and I'm gonna cook those one at a time. This chuck
Okay.
roast I have out right now, if I was cooking it my normal way, I would have slow cooked the entire thing, and then that would be probably 2 days worth of food.
Okay. All right. So you like to cook, so you are open to cooking like a larger chunk of meat and then just eating off of that until it's done.
Oh yeah, like I had a leg of lamb last week that I
I just said leg of lamb and
leg of
yeah,
lamb. Yes.
yeah.
So
Did you have that with mint chutney or, like what?
yeah, did it simple. Um, I did use spices, rosemary, onion powder. I don't think I used garlic. I remember the rosemary. I don't think I used oregano, but a couple other Italian spices. Um, and yeah, cooked that whole thing. That thing was big, so I had to do it slow. I had to do it in the oven, and then I took the entire thing off the bone, threw away the bone because I already got everything I needed out of that. Like that's going to be in the juices, which I did save the juices, and yeah, I ate off that for probably like 3 days, 3 or 4.
Hmm. Um, I grieve for that bone you threw away. My dog would have just lost her
Oh,
mind. Sorrow. So that sounds okay. That sounds great. And by day three, were you still, did it taste as good as ever, or were you kind of like, ugh,
no,
like
I was
ready
tired
for this
of
to be over? Uh, yeah.
it.
I wonder what that is, because I feel that too, and I sometimes think it's not. I feel like it's the histamines building up, like just
Mm,
its existence, because if I put it in the freezer and then come back to it later, it's not a problem.
that might be that. I could really see that being the case because I do get tired of having the same thing, and I do very much lately enjoy cooking my food right before I eat it.
Mhm.
I wonder if
Yeah.
that's why I've been less. I wasn't excited to do this chuck roast until I decided that I was just going to cut little slices and pan fry those.
Mhm. Yeah. That may be why you're like you're looking for another way to have the chuck roast.
Yeah,
Mhm. Hmm.
because yeah, I have not wanted old food at all. I did it today. I ate some leftover corned beef from St. Patrick's Day, but that's corned beef. Like it's already cured so much. I wonder
Mhm.
if histamines can grow on that the same way as they do fresh
Mhm.
cooked meat that hasn't been cured like that.
I don't know. I think so. So, I mean, it's not like, and for those of you watching, I mean, it's not like we're talking about eating food that has gone bad. It's just, there's the process from fresh to bad is a long one. And, just depending on where you are in the spectrum, I think that we're just maybe getting more sensitive to and noticing where we are on that spectrum. And so as time goes on, I feel a little bit like, ugh, I got to power through one more meal of this. And then I finally get to a point where it's like, no more meals. I can't,
I,
I'm done with this. And it's not bad. The food is still not bad. It's just, I cannot bring myself to eat another bite of it.
yeah, like I did throw away. This is the first I've thrown away any meat in a while. A
Hmm.
little bit of the lamb, And I just know
Mhm.
the last time I ate it, I didn't feel as good.
Mhm.
And I thought, well, you know what? That lamb is like 5 days old now. Maybe it's that. And I
Yeah.
went ahead and tossed the rest of it.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. So word to the wise, it is, it's totally as part of meal prep. It's super easy and helpful to cook a big chunk of meat, but but cut it up and divide it up and put some portion in the freezer so that you're not trying to work through a piece of meat over the course of 3, 4, or 5 days. By day 5, it's just you're not gonna want it.
Yeah. I think the next time I cook something big, that's what I need to do is
Mhm.
probably freeze like half of it. Even if I just take that frozen part out like after 2 days, it will be much more fresh than if I'd let it sit in the fridge for those 2 days and then try to eat it.
Mhm. Yeah. So that's one part. That's the meal prep part. And then what about well, so I think the next part is um kind of go hand in hand. So one is identifying your triggers and two is strategizing. So one, I think you have to know yourself, right? And you got to know what you can get away with and what you can't, and what sights and smells and sounds are going to trigger you to fall off, or when you get tired, or when you try to fast too much, or whatever it is. Like, what is that thing that makes it too hard for you to stay on track? And then and then have a plan for how you're going to deal with those things, because those things do come up, hard things come up, all the time. So do you have any idea what some of your triggers are?
Yeah, I realized as you were starting this that I haven't thought about what my triggers are. So this will be a good exercise. Sorry if it takes too long for everybody, but
No, take your time. We're not doing
I
anything.
think alcohol is a trigger, which makes sense.
Hmm.
But yeah, alcohol, and it's not that alcohol triggers more alcohol, because for it doesn't really for me, um, unless it's like something like a sweet mixed drink. It's gonna beget another one. But even with those, I'm usually good at stopping at two, so it's not like those like trigger binges. Um, but it's that the with alcohol, I then want to have carby food.
Hmm.
I want to have
Yeah.
carby salty food, and the salt is good. The carbs are not.
Hmm.
So yeah, alcohol is a trigger, and I definitely, if I'm not taking good care of myself, if I'm not getting enough sleep, um, not resting enough in general, I will start to have more cravings for sweet stuff.
Hmm. So that's a big one for a lot of people, is not getting good sleep and then having cravings all the next day. So they say that not getting enough sleep increases your insulin resistance by like 25% the next day. So that's a lot.
Yeah,
And so that means you're going to be craving and desiring sweet coffees, chocolates, and whatever else you can get your hand on as kind of a way to keep yourself awake through the day. So knowing that, then the strategy is like making sure you get enough sleep, and what are the things that you have to do to make sure that you get into bed on time, that you lay down for long enough so that you can have that sleep.
yep,
And alcohol, of course, is a huge big one for everybody as well. It itself is like sugar. And, I don't know if any of you have tasted like liquor after you have, gone carnivore for a while, but like it tastes really sweet, even without mixing anything into it. Like I can taste it and be like, oh, this tastes like sugar cane. Like I get it. I get what this is made from. So,
yes,
to me, it tastes like candy. with like, a big kick to it.
Well, see, I can't take it that far. It doesn't taste like candy to me, but in whiskey and brandy, super tastes sweet. Brandy and cognac definitely like very much taste sweet. Rum, I can taste the sugar in, and yeah, even in whiskey sometimes. Sometimes in whiskey. Sometimes whiskey is so all I taste is the bite still, and the
Hmm.
bite is actually way worse now than it used to be. I used to be able to drink all kinds of brown liquor straight. Now I just about never do. It's always gross.
Mm, yeah. Well, it is, I mean, it really is sugar. Like, you should think of alcohol as sugar, even like without it being mixed with anything.
Yep.
So when you taste it, you're basically kicking up the sugar and your brain's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that good stuff. Where's the rest of it? Let's go."
Great.
More.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're having the alcohol, which lowers your inhibition. So it's like, yeah, you know, let's go. Tomorrow we'll
Yep.
deal with this all tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Alcohol. You can think of it as sugar. Think of it as basically refined sugar. Like it's gone through a chemical process. The yeast has eaten it and then spat out alcohol instead, or in place of the sugar, and then that's what you're left with. And now, instead of just the problems that sugar has, we've added a few more problems that only alcohol brings.
Hmm. Yeah. So for me, I've got so many triggers, that like I have to pay attention to. I mean, I like to make sure that I have food on hand, that I'm not like looking for it out in the world. If I need to acquire food out in the
Mhm.
world, like that's a trigger for me. And I've accepted that I need to spend more money on food, and that I I can't I can't do carnivore cheaply in a way that is comfortable for me. I want to have like a real meal, a hot meal. I don't want to um I don't want to skimp too much, because when I do, then that makes me more likely to binge on something later. So, so just making sure I feel like I am satisfied and that I have access to food is what makes me feel more comfortable. So that's me. So that means that when I travel, like I got to budget for meals. And maybe I need to, have a little Tupperware container that I can, keep my leftovers in if I get a big meal, and keep some leftovers so I have that for my next meal. I feel a little bit like a squirrel hoarding away food, but um you know it's like that's what I have to do in order to feel comfortable.
Yeah, like when we talk about the strategizing part, I think I am like you. I've had to just accept that like my average price per meal just goes up, and
Mhm.
that's okay. It actually works out in the end. It feels expensive though when I'm in the store. Like
Mhm.
I easily spend 150, $200 in the store, and it's not like I'm walking out with like bags on bags on bags. I gotta hold them with both
Mhm.
arms, and the food, the bags are like hanging on my forearms. Like no, it's like two bags, and they're
Mhm.
full. They're heavy, but it doesn't seem like it should cost that much. There's that sticker shock, but then that food lasts a long time. Like at this point, I haven't been grocery shopping in probably like the past week or two.
Mhm.
I haven't needed to. My freezer's full of stuff. I found sales, and when I did, I pulled an 8A and I bought everything that it had. I was about to cuss.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
um and yeah, when I'm out, I just have to accept that I'm gonna spend more than the average meal. If you're used to spending, unless you're at McDonald's or something, getting like the
Mhm.
a la carte patties, if you're at a real restaurant, you're going to spend real money.
Mhm.
It's gonna
Yeah.
cost. Like get a even just a steak salad, $20 easy. You're like, I didn't even
Mhm.
get that much steak. This was only 8 ounces. This isn't even a full pound. And if you're like me, you think how much would that steak cost in a store? Probably
Mm,
somewhere $6 to $10 a pound if you're lucky and on sale, maybe 12. Even if it's like 15, you still know like I'm getting screwed by this restaurant.
hmm.
Are you gonna go off plan just to save some money, or are you gonna not eat?
I think I used to say, yeah, to save some money, let me do this other thing. But now I no. I mean, it doesn't save me health. And why am I, trading money for health?
Yeah, yeah. So what I actually do, sometimes if I'm out, and especially when we're talking about like ordering takeout, like everyone's getting like wings, and wings are great, but they don't do enough for me. What I'll do is get a big cheesesteak. I'm gonna spend real money on it. It's gonna be like 12, $13 or so. But I get that whole thing and I scrape all of it out.
Hmm.
Skip that
Yeah.
bread. Give me all that, the cheesesteak meat, the cheese, a little bit of mayo or something. Though, like those aren't perfect, but they're small compromises, and
Hmm.
that's how I get through ordering takeout a lot of times.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a good idea. And I think that you just got to be as you're trying to deal with some of these obstacles you're facing, don't try to, just end the obstacle or conform your life to what works for somebody else, you've got to fit the diet into your life, and you may have some unique circumstances that are a little bit, difficult to deal with. And if you don't mind, so Mandel, I spoke to earlier today, and we were talking about like how to fit in for for someone who works a lot, does a lot of traveling, driving and stuff. Like it's possible you might literally just not be home enough to do all the shopping and cooking that's necessary. And
Mm.
even though like carnivore is like way less meal prep than if you're like trying to do a high vegetable, omnivore type thing. Like it's the meal prep that we're talking about is still way less, but maybe you still, can't do that. We talked about like maybe if you can find, an older woman in the church who could use an extra, 50 to $75 a week, go get your groceries, cook it up, chop it up, put it into little Tupperware things and divide it up for you and give it to you. Like, I don't know. Like, I think that might be a creative solution.
That's an idea. I definitely heard older woman in the church, and my mind went to a whole different place about how he was going to pay for this service. But
What? Oh my
like,
God. Oh my
like,
God, that's blasphemous. What are you
oh,
doing?
wait. I'm just thinking like older woman in the church, like find you a sugar mama who will cook for you. Like that's what I'm hearing. And like, okay, no, you went to a different place. That also works. Just pay her. Just pay her money.
Yes. Again, like I said, money solves a lot of problems. So just pay.
It's a much easier relationship.
I mean, there are those services that like where, and now they've expanded. So like they will do a range of cooking types from keto to, vegetarian or vegan. But that stuff can be expensive and it's going to be hard to get carnivore. But if you can just go to somebody that who you trust and say, here's what I want and here's exactly how, it should be prepared, then I don't see why that wouldn't work. And for those of you, I mean, in my challenge, I give you a meal plan with recipes, and suggestions on how to prepare it. So all you have to do is give the person this document, and they can do it.
Yeah, that actually. If someone is in Baltimore and wants to pay me to do that, I will gladly do it. I'm home all the time during the day.
Wow, I thought you were going to say you would like to have someone else cook for you. So you would do it.
Yeah, cooking's the easy
Mhm.
part for me. I'm home enough. I've got the time.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't think I would want to do it.
A Costco rib roast for 250. I'm trying to think of how. So that thing would have to be so big for it to be worth it at $250. Like I'm looking at for, I'd want to spend $10 a pound or less. That would be a huge rib roast because that's 25 pounds. That doesn't sound worth it to me. I don't know what meat prices you're used to. That does not sound worth it to me.
Mhm. Mhm. So, um, let's see. Tracy says she likes the suggestion of one meat a week. So yeah, I've talked about that with some people. Is an easier way of doing it is just to choose one eat meat a week, and you just buy, I don't know, 21 pounds of whatever is on sale, and then you eat that every meal through the week, and then the next week you go back and you buy 21 pounds of something else, and you eat that through the week. So I've definitely done that. And that is, feels good to me. If I use spices, I'm going to tire of the meat very quickly. But if I don't use any spices, just salt, I can eat it indefinitely.
I put spices on the outside of that leg of lamb.
Mm, yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know what if that's the body going, you're pushing it with these spices, and I don't like this.
Right. Like
I
actually,
thought
you
we
know,
were good with the carnivore. I don't know what you're doing here. I don't like it. I let you do it
right.
yesterday. I'm not letting you do it today too.
Yeah, like okay, we did this for a few days. I'm getting tired of it now. All right, now we don't do all these spices anymore.
Hmm. Yeah. So let's see. J-Ro says buying a cow from a farmer is much more reasonable. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it is a big outlay initially. So overall, the price, on average, the price per pound for the meat might be lower. But if you're buying a quarter or a half a pound, that is not an insignificant chunk of change. But I think like let's see, was it Johnny who said overall, or Steve who said overall? Overall, when you look at it, the longer in the longer term, like the cost of being a carnivore, even when your expenses seem higher, it is lower. There are so many benefits and so many health benefits and so many ways that you bring the rest of your bills down that it is a very cost effective way of eating.
Hmm. Yeah. And overall, that buying a big chunk of meat, like I think that specific rib roast wasn't a good deal, but in general,
Mhm.
yes, it is the better way
Mhm.
to go. It is often cheaper to buy. Like you can cook that whole thing as a rib roast, or you can cut it in slices and cook
Mhm.
rib eyes. It's a great
Mhm.
either.
Yeah. So Tracy says this sounds like a new side hustle, meal prep.
I could
Well,
totally do that.
I mean, I think if you are struggling, I mean, the other thing to do is put up a post in the Facebook group and ask, if there's anybody in your city who, might be willing to do something like this or trade off or, something. Because, you know, if you
Yeah,
really struggle with the cooking and you don't want to do it, like, let's figure out another way.
right. I'm sure
Hmm.
somebody has the time.
Or the desire, some people like this stuff, like cooking, not me. No, not me. So, so Pat Jacobs says I purchased a 9-in-1 instant pot that air fries, bakes, pressure cooks. It's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Get all of the tools that will support you in cooking that make it easy. So an air fryer, pressure cooker, all of that. Okay, mommy does keto says Aldi's is having a rib roast at 6.99 a pound on starting on Sunday. Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Is
it's
Easter
good.
coming up? Why is that on sale so?
I might need to run by all these this weekend.
Sounds like it. Wow. Oh, it's in a limit two per person, says mommy does keto. I wonder if that's two per person per visit or per day.
It's probably per visit. I bet if I go the next day, there's an Aldi like within 4 minutes of me, so I could do that every day if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, so I definitely suggest when there's sales, go run those stores and get yourself you know some good meat prices. So that is really the best way to do it. And so that was those three things that we were talking about as far as strategies go. And then just giving yourself some hard lines. Sometimes we do fall off. Sometimes, holidays, birthdays, and whatnot come, and you need to, if you make the decision that you're going to go off plan, you just need to have a hard line as to when you're going to go back on plan.
Yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
I do that with myself. I have that Sunday dinner that is kind of a free for all, whatever my mom cooks, and I'm even
Mm-hmm.
eating dessert. And then after that, um, I go back to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually, because of stress in my life, I have not been falling back to it as immediately lately as I should, and I'm feeling the difference. I gotta get back to Sunday's over. I'm right back on plan. I'm only taking the things from dinner that I can't eat as a carnivore. Um, so I did that this week, and I'm feeling definitely better. But I want to make sure that I do that. But yeah, like setting that boundary is important. I
Mm-hmm.
find that what doesn't work is setting the boundary in the future.
What?
Like if you're gonna set the boundary, saying like, "Oh well, I'm gonna have a weekend of cheating because of blah blah blah,
Oh.
whatever thing is happening," and then, but on Monday I'm gonna hit it. No, that's too much.
Okay.
Like it's harder to go back, and it's harder to. You're just gonna like cheat and cheat and cheat up until that boundary is set, or up until the time when that boundary actually hits, and then you're gonna have a hard time getting back to it. What I find is easier for me is to just basically set it now. Like if I say like if I sometimes you might realize that you're binging or you're eating whatever you shouldn't be eating, or for me like I'm drinking and I'm like, oh, this drinking is leading to bad decisions. What am I doing? Just stop.
Mm-hmm.
Stop right then.
Mm-hmm.
Set the boundary then and stick to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So it takes a strong person though to stop like in the midst of um a binge, really. So but that's kind of what you need to do because there's you know, no further bite is going to bring you more pleasure. It's only going to bring you more and more pain each and every bite. So why allow there to be 1,000 bites when you could just say there's only going to be one bite, you know?
Yeah. And yeah, like set your line, go ahead and do it to that line and then stop.
Yeah.
Um, even if it is like if you catch yourself in the middle, like you are halfway through a slice of cake and you're realizing, what am I doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're gonna
Or you
finish
just
that
forget.
slice,
In the
yeah,
early days, I would just forget that I was carnivore. And it's like, oh, great, we're at my favorite place and I'm eating this thing. And then it's like, oh, wait.
yep. It's like the environment has changed, and now you do
Hmm.
the thing that goes with that environment, or you were watching TV and you got triggered by that. That's yeah. Back to triggers real quick. TV,
Hmm.
movies, um, like the commercials and all that stuff, or seeing somebody drink or somebody smoke, like all those things can trigger you back into a habit that you had previously stopped and was fine stopping. But yeah, when you catch yourself doing it, like set your line there or very soon after.
Hmm.
Because the more you permit, the more difficult it is going to be to actually stop when you do try to stop.
Hmm. Absolutely.
And ooh, I really like what Mandel said. I don't consciously stop a binge. I just recognize I need real food.
Mhm.
Yes, that is one thing that I find to be extremely helpful for any sort of binge is not just to stop and not do anything else, but to give my body what it needs instead of that thing.
Mhm.
Like a lot of people say sugar cravings are actually salt cravings, and I that is proven true for me.
Mhm. For sure. I mean, having a real meal can put like a hard stop on any of that former behavior. So that's an excellent idea.
Yeah.
And then, finally, community. That is what we always need. It will always help you so much to stay on track and to build a lifestyle. Is to get a community of people who understand what you're doing, who support it, and will, give you that support when you need it day or night from around the world.
Yeah. Like
Mhm.
these challenges come with the community being in these YouTubes, talking in the chat, especially like watching the chat is one thing, talking in it is another.
Mhm.
To feel that community, the YouTube, the Facebook group is also really helpful. Interacting on other forms of social media, like it's needed. You need it really. I don't think I actually like really curbed my alcohol until you formed the Black Carnivore group.
Oh,
Like
really?
I was carnivore plus alcohol, I think, until you came along.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes and it's like it takes a while to wrap your head around like alcohol is also sugar and it is, a poison and it does not help you to reach your goals. So I think all of us are alcohol, carnivore plus alcohol in the beginning and then it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
let it
yeah.
go.
It's like, okay, this actually isn't serving me. And you see other people excelling or struggling with it, and even if you don't say anything, the accountability is felt.
Mhm.
Like, I need to stop this. I need to
Mhm.
try to find. It's hard to see other people trying and to not want to try yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. So everybody who is watching and those of you watching in the replay, join the Facebook group, join the chat here next time, get here for the live show, or write your comments on Instagram or on YouTube. Get involved and get community because that's what's going to help you to stay on track. And I hope that helps you get the five, best strategies for building a carnivore lifestyle and let me know how it's going for you. Is your lifestyle coming together? Do you feel like you are, doing well? Let me know. And thank you so much for everybody who is here. I so enjoyed hearing from you guys, and it was a good discussion tonight. Maybe a little deep, huh? It seemed like we
So,
we went kind of deep. So I hope that was helpful for you guys, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. All right. Have a good one.
bye.